Paul, let's go. Let's get the show on the road. We got to move it along tonight. 52 minutes delayed, 52 seconds delayed. Welcome, everyone, to our first board meeting of the new year. Roll call, Tom, please.
You want to do this, or you want me to do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so the meeting's called to order. Ms. Bose.
Here.
Mr. Clark. Ms. Evans.
Here.
Ms. Groger. Ms. Kelly.
Here.
Ms. Martinez.
Here.
Ms. Pasculi.
Here.
Mr. Van Hise is absent. Hey, we have a quorum. Thank you, Tom. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to advance notice and to attend meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. As required under law, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided via email and or fax to the Times, the Lawrence Ledger, the Trentonian, the Public Library, and has been filed with the municipal clerk. This notice was provided prior to the 48 hours required by the Open Public Meetings Act. The board reserves the right to limit public discussion of personnel items and other matters defined by the law. Please stand for the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So as is typical for the reorganization meeting of the Board of Education, the board secretary opens the meeting and swears the new members in, and then we'll follow the same procedure, elect our officers. We'll turn the meeting over to the president. At this time, if I can have, please, the three new board members so we can swear them in. And if you would, please come up this corner here, and we'll swear you in all at the same time. Getting your oath. Don't you know the oath by now? There it is.
Tattoo. Needing bigger print.
So this is the required oath of office for new school board members. It is standard across the state of New Jersey, and as typical, if we have a whole slate of members, we'll swear them all in at one time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read the first paragraph and then ask you to read it, to fill in your own name and read it back, and then we'll do that for the second paragraph. At that point, you'll be seated. So, it's I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and this state, under the authority of the people, so help me God.
I, Pepper Evans, do solemnly
You
swear.
can all read at the same time. Okay.
I, Pepper Evans, do solemnly swear
to affirm that I will
Constitution
support
of
the
the United
Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and
and that I will bear the true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and this state under the authority of the people, so help me God.
Thank you. Tom had to correct me twice. The first time with my mic there, and then here we go again. Thank you, Tom. And then we'll do the next paragraph, and it's I, and then your name. So then you can say that. I, your name, do solemnly swear or affirm that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of member of the Board of Education, and that I am not disqualified as a voter pursuant to this statute, we can say that, nor disqualified due to conviction of a crime or offense listed in the statute, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of that office according to the best of my ability, so help me God. And I will face you on this. Ready?
Okay.
So it's I do solemnly swear or affirm that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of member of the Board of Education, and that I am not disqualified as a voter pursuant to the statute, nor disqualified due to conviction of a crime or offense listed in statute, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of that office according to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Please take a seat at the board. Welcome back. Welcome back again. Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is the nomination of officers. At this time, I'd like to open up the floor to the nomination of officers. I'll remind those who would nominate anyone, there is not a second required according to our policy. Simply a nomination will suffice. At the conclusion of the nominations, then we'll take the roll call. Is there a nomination for the President of the Board of Education?
Yes. Based on her many years of service to the board, and especially last year in service of the middle school expansion vote, I would like to nominate Michelle Bose.
Thank you. So noted. Are there any other nominations? Okay. Seeing none? Mr. Clark is not here. Mr. Caparata?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Martinez?
Yes.
Ms. Pasculi?
Yes.
And Ms. Bose, do you accept?
I do accept.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right, so Vice President nomination, the meeting's yours.
I will open up for nominations for Vice President.
For very similar reasons, I'd like to nominate Pepper Evans, who's proven her absolute dedication and commitment to our students and has done a wonderful job in the last year filling it.
Any other nominations? Okay, seeing none. Tom?
Okay. Mr. Caparata?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Martinez?
Yes.
Ms. Pasculi?
Yes.
Ms. Bose?
Yes.
Ms. Evans, do you accept the nomination?
Yes. Thank
All
you.
right, you are installed. So here are the ethics forms right here.
Yes.
Your distribution. Want me to hang on to this one? 1, 2. There you are. Would you like me to introduce the topic, or you have it?
Yes. We will go around and read the board member code of ethics. We can just start with Olga, and each person goes to the next one until we've read all of them aloud. School board members shall abide by the following code of ethics for school board members. Olga?
I will uphold and enforce all laws, rules, and regulations of the State Board of Education and court orders pertaining to schools. Desired changes shall be brought about only through legal and ethical procedures.
I will make decisions in terms of the educational welfare of children and will seek to develop and maintain public schools that meet the individual needs of all children, regardless of their ability, race, creed, sex, or social standing.
I will confine my board action to policymaking, planning, and appraisal, and I will help to frame policies and plans only after the board has consulted those who will be affected by them.
I will carry out my responsibility not to administer the schools, but together with my fellow board members to see that they are run well.
I will recognize that authority rests with the Board of Education and will make no personal promises nor take any private action that may compromise the board.
I will hold confidential all matters pertaining to the school which, if disclosed, would needlessly injure individuals or the schools. In all other matters, I will provide accurate information and, in concert with my fellow board members, interpret to the staff the aspirations of the community for its school.
I will vote to appoint the best qualified personnel available after considerations of the recommendation of the Chief Administrative Officer.
I will support and protect school personnel and proper performance of their duties.
I will refer all complaints to the Chief Administrative Officer and will act on the complaints at public meetings only after failure of an administrative solution.
Great. Thank you, and everybody can write their name and sign it and date it. And then we're going to collect them, Tom,
Pass them my way if you would,
when you
please.
finish. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
All right. This evening, we do not have any student representative or peer leaders. Any recognitions and acknowledgements? We have no adoption of minutes yet. And now reports to the board. Superintendent's report.
Happy New Year to members of the Board of Education, Happy New Year to members of the board, our staff, and the Lawrence Township community. I hope the winter break provided time for rest and connection as we begin the new year together. It is with deep sadness that I do acknowledge the passing of one of our students, our Cardinal, August Vogel. She passed away over the winter break after an ongoing medical battle. This was a heartbreaking loss for our school community and one that put a damper on opening schools back up and returning. She is with us at this time and will be in our deepest thoughts, and we extend our condolences to her family. I also want to mention that I'm wearing green tonight in support of a LTPS staff member who is currently undergoing cancer treatment. It's a very rare form of cancer, and green really signifies his battle. I need everyone to know that while this is a small gesture, the buildings are lit up in green this week for this teacher. And Lawrence Township Public Schools not only shows up for one another, but we exemplify care, compassion, and strength. When we say LTPS, this is us, this is what we do. As we look ahead, I want to share how much I look forward to tonight's annual reorganization meeting. It is always so meaningful. It's a moment that signifies who will be on board to do all of the great work, and I'm excited to welcome the slate here tonight with Pepper and Paul and Mackenzie back. It really is an exciting time for us in Lawrence, and we still have so much more to accomplish. So last but not least, January is School Board Appreciation Month, and while we will be doing many more things to celebrate our board members throughout the month of January, specifically at the January 2nd meeting, the January 21st meeting, I'm sorry, I do need to extend on behalf of the entire school district how much we appreciate your service, your passion, and your dedication. You always show up for us, you always check in on us, and you do all of the behind-the-scenes things for teachers and staff that I am personally grateful for. So thank you.
Thank you. Board Secretary report.
Given that this is the reorganization meeting, I'll defer my report, but you have seen that we were successful in our asbestos abatement at Lawrence Middle School. All things are on track, and I saw that Jen Baldessari shared with you the pictures of what was happening, and those were fantastic pictures, and there'll be more of that to come. So thank you all.
Great.
Have a full report for you at the end of the month.
Great. Thanks so much, Tom. There's no board president report, thankfully, this evening. We have no committee reports and no liaison reports. And any review of communications? No. This is going to be our opportunity for first public comment. Okay. Seeing none. This evening, we have a special guest with us, our board attorney, Brett Gorman, and he is going to be taking over during our board discussion and work session to do some new year training with us. Robin, did you want to say anything else about Brett Gorman?
Brett Gorman has been our board solicitor the past few years. We feel very fortunate to have you with us tonight. There's many topics that sort of, we discussed along with Michelle and just getting to know the board for a few years now as president, what might be important for you to learn from. And of course, we want to kind of continue these work sessions, maybe even into the summer retreat. So thank you, Brett. The floor is yours.
Okay. Do I have to use the microphone? Can I? Is it being recorded? And
Yes, it's being recorded.
do you want me to talk on this? Okay.
Yes, please.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Brett Gorman. I am an attorney. No applause? No? Okay. All right. That was a joke. All right. I don't. All right. So I'm going to give a presentation here. I got a list of items that Dr. Klim wanted me to go over. So it can be a lengthy presentation. So some ground rules. I talk quickly, all right? So if I'm going too quick, you can tell me to slow down. I will do my best. I cannot assure you that I will actually slow down, but I will try to. And secondly, I do like an interaction. So if you have questions, you want to follow up, some spontaneity, I'll walk you through it. We can kind of do some analysis together and try to walk you through how I would think about it and explain it if you were to call me. And that might help you as you go through it and deal with these issues moving forward. All right, any questions? All right, let's get going. So I'm not going to read you the citations, but this is the general citations for the board's role. Big picture for you guys, and this is different things you're looking at here. The last two, as you can see, are School Ethics Commission's citations, which, that's kind of what you read earlier. But the big picture here is your job is not to administer the schools, all right? You're not permitted to. It is against the law. That is the type of issue that gets litigated in the School Ethics Commission at the New Jersey Office of Administrative Law regularly. So that's it. But your job is policy. You set the course, and the administration, Tom and Robin, implement and report back to you at our monthly meetings, okay? So this is the definition of administer the schools. What you're not supposed to do is when you give a direct order to school personnel or become directly involved in activities or function that are responsibility of school personnel. All right, we're going to go through some examples of what that means. All right, so I'll have some questions as we do this. So this is a school ethics case that came out a couple years ago. And you have a board member relayed union concerns to the superintendent about a graduation schedule change, all right? And then the board member also contacted teachers and administrators to request band and choir participation in an outside civic event and question the principal's decision not to participate. All right, so if you guys want to jump in, you can. If not, I'll just jump right to the answer. But which of the actions from this case is permissible and which one is impermissible? Anyone answer? I can give the answer. All right, so short answer is relaying union concerns to the superintendent. That's your role, right? You get something direct from the union, they're complaining about something. It's not your job to fix it. You are not supposed to fix it. That's what you have the administration for, who are obligated to follow district policy on those things. So that is the permissible one. The second one here, though, is this is where you get it, right? The board member contacted teachers and administrators to request their participation in an outside civic event. So think about it this way. You are their employers. You're pressuring them to participate in an outside event. Clearly, that's going to probably potentially cross over into some administrative act, but also it violates the perception of for them, whether or not you're utilizing your role as a board member, elected official, their employer, to obtain some type of, even not personal benefit, something you want them to do, right? And that's the answer that the School Ethics Commission gave here, that the board member must refer complaints to the superintendent and avoid direct involvement, contacting the staff to seek explanations, pressure participation, or second guess administrative decisions constitutes administering the schools, the definition we just looked at, even if done from a personal account or in a non-board role. You can't just say, this is me saying it as a member of the public, right? That doesn't really exist when you're talking to an employee of the district, right? And the second one, relaying concerns to the superintendent is appropriate, and contacting teachers and administrators to make requests, applying pressure, questioning administrative decisions violates that school ethics provision. All right, now we have a slide about Robin Clem, the superintendent. The superintendent is the board's only employee for supervisory and administrative purposes. You probably all know this, okay? But the superintendent is the one who's allowed to make recommendations on personnel only. The only personnel decision you make is employing the superintendent, and that's it. Once that happens, everything else goes through the superintendent. Kind of the deal when they got rid of superintendent tenure several years back was, the superintendent gets to pick their staff. They get to be the ones in charge of that, but they don't get tenure. They only get these 3, 4, or 5-year contracts. That's the balance that gets in there, is that they get to control that situation. Obviously, there's other laws in play that, that impact their actual control over it, but that's the theory behind the superintendent being the one who makes all of those recommendations, right? So again, you have a duty to refer all complaints to the superintendent, chief school, chief administrative officer, and will act on complaints at public meetings only after failure of an administrative solution. And frankly, if you're going to do that, you have better call me before you do that, all right? Because should you take some action, you might be opening yourselves up to a school ethics violation. If it's a personnel issue in particular, you might be violating certain privacy rights and other things. So before you take some private action, please run that by the board solicitor. All right. This talks about your authority, all right? You only act as a group during properly publicly noticed meetings, right? Open Public Meetings Act. And that's what we talk about there. I think we need to elaborate on that. Obviously, we're not going to take anything in private. We all know the fact patterns of emails, and if 2 people email and another 2 people email, and you get a 5th person in there, that constitutes a meeting, and that's in violation of the Open Public Meetings Act. So that's where we work in the committee function. We work through the superintendent when not at a meeting, and then we have a meeting to go over everything. And of course, cannot take unilateral action on matters reserved to the board, even if the board later agrees with the outcome, right? You can't do that even if it's right in the end. It can and still will be a school ethics violation. I think we kind of went over this. This describes what adequate notice is. This is the purview of your illustrious business administrator, Tom Eldridge. So he makes sure every one of your meetings meets all of these requirements. And this talks about the electronic notification of a meeting. So there is a new change in the law that's coming in where you don't have to use newspapers anymore for that, but that's not till May, or really it's kind of more for boards that are going to start operating in July 1st through June 30th on your meeting notifications. You can meet without providing proper notice if it's an emergency situation. This gives the criteria here. Again, you would only do this after consulting with your attorneys to make sure that it does meet it, and we would take every step we could to adequately notice the meeting. I'm not aware of this ever really coming into play, even during COVID and those types of situations. And this right here, this provision here gives and this actually comes up a lot. I actually get a lot of questions about this, is when are we actually allowed to go into executive, right? These are the only opportunities that you can, right? So, and where boards can get into trouble is you go under for a matter that's valid, collective, negotiations, right? Litigation, and then another topic comes up, another topic, and next thing you know, you're talking about something in closed that really should happen in an open session in front of the public. So you need to be very careful, and if you start to question it, it's always good to ask the question, should we be in open for this, right? It's better that you ask that question, and then you guys pause. You'll know if it's not. Your administration's very smart, and if you have any issues, they can always contact us to find out for sure, but then you can go back and open and discuss it. All right, so this is actually kind of an interesting one that just came out. There's a new appellate division case that had to do with filling a board vacancy. I've had to deal with this a lot because I just happen to have a few boards that had an open vacancy, and filling it becomes a question. So if you look at your policy, it goes over the exact way it happens, right? Tom will notice it for the public to submit CV, cover letter, talking about why they should be appointed to the board for the remainder of the term. This is in the circumstance where it can't be filled at an election. You guys fill it for a 1-year term, and in those situations. So there was a case in North Jersey where basically the board just did nothing in public, right? They noticed, they said they were going to do interviews in public. They did not. They deliberated in public, and then they came out and just voted on somebody without giving any rationale, right? So the long story short on this is you need to articulate something in public, to the public, anyone that wants to come, about your rationale for appointing someone to a position. Some boards, you can do interviews in executive. The meeting I was at on Monday, we did the interviews in public in front of everybody. Nobody came to the meeting. And it was interesting because there were 2 candidates, and they actually were supposed to go down the hall, but it was clear that one of them was listening on the interview and got the questions in advance. But it was done in public for the exact purpose of not running asunder of this decision. You can do some discussion in executive session on this, but when you come out, you still have to articulate why you want to make that decision, if that makes sense. All right?
When was this? When did this come?
A few months ago?
Just a few months ago?
Yeah, this came out this year, or last year. So it's an interesting one. So they invalidated.
Because we have done them in private.
But this came out probably within 60 to 80 days.
Yeah.
And I know Kevin sent it around to Robin and myself, and we knew that Strauss Esme came out with some clarifications.
Yeah.
We just haven't had an opportunity to use this.
Luckily.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't change that much. I mean, really, is you have to articulate something to the public. Is really that. I mean, that in the case here was pretty extreme, and they even noticed that they were going to do the interviews in public, and then they did it in private. So if you remember, and that was the thing, there were members of the public wanted to know, had no idea, and that's why the appellate division struck it down. And and of course, once you do that, if you have any 5-4 votes, and that person was with the majority, well, now those votes are now invalidated. So it can have consequences for multiple things that happen. And in order to get to the appellate division, I mean, I think it had to have happened a couple years prior to that. So, all right. So board committees, a very important part of how boards function to make sure you don't violate the Open Public Meeting Act. Obviously, we have less than a quorum. So for a 9-person board, maximum 4 board members can meet. I think a well-run board really. Do you guys use committees?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I think a well-run. I didn't want to say something here that you would. Like, no, we only act as.
We're a well-run board, Brent. Come on.
I know. Well, I do have a board that I'm working with, and they just told me they've done everything as a committee as a whole, which is kind of chaotic because then people don't know what's going on. So the way a properly run board is you utilize committees. 4 of you are up to date on your specific area of expertise. When you come to the board meeting, you can speak knowledgeable about it. You can trust that so-and-so on the board asked the right questions, made the right decision, made the right recommendation for whatever it is. And then everybody kind of work together and be apprised at the board meeting. And if you have questions, you can ask of it, but you know that 4 board members signed off on it, and then you can take action at the meeting. So that's a well-run board that does it that way. You can do a committee as a whole, but again, it can be chaotic because then everybody walks into a meeting without having the information. And then it's like, well, why didn't we, and then why didn't we know about this before? Yeah.
Just say no to
Yeah.
chaos.
No to chaos.
Just say no. All right, so here's your cans and can'ts for board committees. All right, you can gather information, raise issues to other committees, develop recommendations, bring issues forward for board consideration and vote. A lot of boards will send around their committee notes to everybody so everybody can see what was discussed. Yeah, that's a good practice. Committees cannot make final decisions, obviously cannot constitute a quorum because then you violate the Open Public Meetings Act. Commit district resources, take board action, direct staff, yada, yada, yada. So pretty self-explanatory items. And this gives a case here where a board does not violate the School Ethics Act by participating in a proper committee meeting. And in this case, the Kathy V. Gonzalez, you had the chair of a personnel committee called a meeting at the board attorney's office with the personnel committee, a little unusual, I will say, and the human resources manager to discuss possible termination of the superintendent. They affirmed that the chair was acting in her capacity as a board member at the meeting and did not violate the School Ethics Act. So you are permitted to do that with your one employee that you guys vote on, which is the superintendent, not vote on, but make the motion on, which is the superintendent. And that's never going to happen here because you have an amazing superintendent. Meetings, Robert Rules of Order. Board meeting is not a conversation, but a structured decision-making process, right? So this is, very old rules, but we all follow it. First, seconds, discussions. Discussion, should happen at the discussion point, not at the voting period point, is the best practice. Items like that, items involving money should be a roll call vote. There's another piece of this puzzle. When in doubt, do a roll call vote. Only do all in favor votes on minutes, things that are not going to be consequential.
Right, can you repeat that? When in the roll call is the discussion? It's before the roll call or after?
It should be before. So you make the motion and a second, then you have discussion, right? So that's where, and if it's an item you can discuss in public, personnel, you have to go into executive if you're in the middle of that situation, you have a question. But then you have a discussion on the items and then you vote. So it shouldn't really be like, I'm in favor of this because of blah, 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 right? That probably more comes up in discussion. You can do it. It's not like it's against the rules. It's just, that's more, the discussion is for kind of stating your views, if that makes sense.
It's between the motion and the vote.
After the motion and the roll call, yeah. Motion second, and this way you'll hear motion second discussion, and then you guys discuss, and then, okay, roll call vote. Make sense? Yeah. All right, board only acts through properly made motions, seconded, discussed, and voted on at properly noticed meetings. I think the only motion I'm aware of that does not need a second is the one you did a few minutes ago, President and Vice President. The nominations are made, they do not need a second, and you kind of go in there without having a second to do it. This really comes up when you have a split board, 5-4, there's a lot of, jangling, maybe somebody moving in between. When you have, factions come in, that's where this stuff gets very important, because you'll get someone making a motion and no one will second it, and then it doesn't move forward. Things like that. And there's a lot of procedural issues with this. And of course, no motion, no vote, no authority, right? Simple kind of way to think about it.
So Brett, usually we, as a committee chair, you would send out the minutes of your committee meeting. And the expectation has been that you would approach the committee chair if you had questions rather than hash it out in public.
Yeah, you can do that. Without, as long as you don't put 5 of you together, right? That's where you're gonna have issues. But if you have a question about a clarifying question, yeah, it's appropriate to go to the committee chair to ask a follow-up question. But, you can also do it at the meeting, if you choose to do so. Let's say you can't get in touch with them. I'm not saying that's what you should do. It's better to kind of work those things out. You also have the superintendent to ask, and the business administrator. Yeah. You'll get the agenda in advance, right? And you'll look at it. So usually best practice is to communicate questions in advance about some items that, that you want to address.
We work hard, I think, at least in our committee chairs, to ensure that the board has all of the information and can, discuss it way before our board meeting, because, there might be information that Robin has to give, or Tom gives, or our assistant superintendents, and it's sometimes it's difficult. I think, and this is how we've always rolled, is that we would do all that prior to the board meeting. People can vote no, they can vote yes, it's fine. It's just a matter of, like, getting that information during a board meeting, for me, did not seem to be the most efficient use of our time when we know in advance this is something people have questions about.
Well, and that's what the committees are for, right? Then they send the information out so that you have the time ahead of time to do it, and not just have to make, decisions on the moment by getting information there. And you got to remember, you're running a multi-million-dollar organization once at a public meeting once a month, or you can't do any administrating, right, at all, and you have to rely on that. So it's structured in a way so the public has access, but it's very limiting in how it happens. So yeah, having a properly run board meeting is very important for making sure that's done correctly. Okay. All right. You don't surrender your independent judgment of special interest or partisan political groups to use schools for personal gain. I think that's a pretty clear one. It's probably potentially criminal, depending if you do that. But conflicts of interests exist when a board member's personal interests interfere or appear to interfere. That's where we have abstentions, right? If you have any, and this mostly comes up in relatives, or working in a district or working in another district as part of a union, things like that. We got very strange fact patterns like that that we'll analyze for you, and we'll give you advice. And then we have to break it down on, you can participate in negotiations, or no, you cannot participate in negotiations, but you can vote on the MOU, or you can't vote on the MOU at all, you have to abstain for it all. So there's a lot of case law on this. We can give you very clear answers on it, even if it's, an extreme situation. So any relatives, any businesses that you or family members have interest in should all be disclosed, particularly if it potentially comes up with the board. All right, we have a hypothetical. All right, board member is engaged to the district's business administrator. All right, and the BA was hired before the board member was elected and later promoted. All right, so the BA was hired before the board member was elected. All right, and the board member immediately disclosed the relationship and recuses from votes on the BA's contract and evaluations. Board member does not recuse from discussions or vote on the annual budget because it applies to the entire district, not just the BA. All right? So should the board member participate in discussions on the annual budget? Kind of an interesting theory, right? No, of course not. Come on. Even though the budget is a general district action, participation would violate the school ethics act, right? Standard is not actual influence, right? Because you're not gonna, it's not gonna be there. It's the public perception, right? And listen, I've been in situations where there's like clearly no influence, probably not even a perceived influence, but someone can come up with public comment and make hay about it, right? There's just no reason to even participate in it. Abstain from the vote, put it aside. And the conflict, of course, extends in the BA's chain of command, right? So it's trickier when people have a relative who's overseen by the superintendent, because everybody's in the superintendent's chain of command, right? So they're pretty much conflicted on everything to do with the superintendent's contract, employment, things like that. Okay, BA is it's a little bit different, right? Even though they're the second, the other part of the top of the school district, is still the chain of command is different for the BA. All right, I have another hypothetical. By the way, Robin asked me to do a lot on this, okay? So if it's dragging on,
No, it's fine.
all right.
We-
All right.
I mean, there are things here, though, that I think helps people to put into context some of the roles and responsibilities. These specific examples might not apply to us, but
Yeah.
I think it is important for everybody to understand that we operate as a group, though. I mean, I think that's like the most important part of this.
Okay. All right, good. All right, thank you, Michelle, for making me feel better, like I wasn't droning on. All right, hypothetical. Board member's mother-in-law is employed by the district as a paraprofessional and a regular substitute in school principal's office. The board member discloses the relationship and acknowledges that they can't vote on the mother-in-law's appointment or evaluation. Can the member still participate in broader matters such as a superintendent search, an evaluation, principal searches, collective negotiations, budget discussions that affect paraprofessional staffing? You see the nonsense that we have to get into? Like, it's like all of these different things we have to analyze, right? No, of course not, right? Just like we talked about, the board member must recuse from all of those matters. Mother-in-law is a relative. Now, interestingly, in the law, there's a relative, immediate family member, and other in the definitions, okay? And relative, which is defined right there, has a certain things that you have to recuse yourself for if on the supervision of the superintendent, and this is there. So there's a lot of criteria on these issues. All right, professionalism and unity. I mean, this isn't something that is really pertaining to you guys, but you're expected to treat another staff and community with respect, right? That's kind of the role here. It's the expectation. You have policies on this. And that's it. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions you have?
Paul, you're our newest board member. Anything come to mind?
No, this is great, very prescriptive.
Was that good?
Yep.
All right, good. I hope you all
Great.
enjoyed.
Great. Thank you so much, Brett.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you all.
Okay. All right, let's see.
Only if the meter is running.
So we did not have any meetings so far this month, but we do need to vote on our normal action items. If somebody would like to move personnel?
Personnel.
Personnel, the first one? Do you want to do personnel?
Oh, we didn't do any of the other ones? That means I'll be doing all of them.
Right?
We don't,
We're up to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
about the committee report?
There's no committee reports tonight,
Okay.
so.
All right, then personnel has payment of unused vacation days and adjusting the start date, some leave replacements, amending account numbers, rescinding an appointment, substitute teachers, a volunteer, motion to approve substitute nurses, another start date. And with that, I would like to move items P1 through P10.
Second.
Thank you. Tom with a motion and a second.
Thank you. Mr. Caparata.
Yes.
Yeah, I heard that.
How many meetings?
Ms. Evans.
Yes.
Ms. Kelly.
Yes.
Ms. Pasculi.
Yes.
Mr. Van Hise is not here, so the motion carried?
Well, Ms. Bose, you
Oh,
didn't ask
sorry, Ms.
me.
Bose.
That's okay.
Bose,
Yes,
back to the top. Right, there we go. Sorry.
that's okay.
Motion carried.
Thank you. The CIPD,
CIAPD also did not meet yet, but we have Office of Student Services approved the HIB reports and approving the ESY extended school year dates, and the location of the ESY program will be determined later. And with that, I'd like to move OSS 1 and 2.
Second.
thank you. Tom with a motion and a second.
Thank you. What I was actually doing was counting my votes right there. That's how I missed that because of what Brett had said. So you need the majority of the membership, of the full membership of the board to pass personnel items. And so what I was going back
Yes,
and doing, and it was
we have.
split off on the back side of the page.
Yeah.
So here we go, which is why he said the roll call votes.
Yes.
So it was a good reminder. All right, Mr. Caparata,
Yes.
Ms. Evans,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly,
Yes.
Ms. Martinez,
Yes.
Ms. Pasculi,
Yes.
and Ms. Bose.
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. I see now because I'm at the top, and
That's
that's
right,
what's
and I was on the
throwing
next
you.
page. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Finance report. Pepper, the floor is yours.
If I had known all this was, I never would have been vice president. They get a raise. Finance did not meet yet, but we've got a list of surplus to deal with, motion to, or budget transfers, board secretary's report from November. No fund is overextended. Following fire drills, security drills, amendments to IDEA. School business administrator and superintendent can issue the next 2 change orders for construction projects, all within the threshold. And transportation agreement with Union County. The administration will be accepting a 4% fee for the billing formula. Motion to approve the student activities checking account and close the existing one. With that, I would like to move SBM 1 through 8.
Second.
Tom, with a motion and a second.
Mr. Caparata,
Yes.
Ms. Evans,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly,
Yes.
Ms. Martinez,
Yes.
Ms. Pasculi,
Yes.
Ms. Bose.
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. Reorganization items. Pepper, you might as well.
Yeah. We'll be looking for a motion to approve that the Board of Education will hold its regular monthly meetings on the following dates at 6:30 PM for the calendar year in accordance with statute, and those meetings shall begin in closed session at 6:30 PM and transition to open session at 7 PM, and the meetings will be held in the Lawrence High School at 2525 Princeton Pike unless otherwise noted. You can see the meeting dates are attached to the agenda.
Second.
Tom, with a motion and a second.
Mr. Caparata,
Yes.
Ms. Evans,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly,
Yes.
Ms. Martinez,
Yes.
Ms. Pasculi,
Yes.
Ms. Bose.
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. It's our second opportunity for public input. Seeing none. Lastly, new business?
For new business, we have illness and vacations payouts due to retirements, eagles and destinations, as well as resignations. Would like to move NB1 to NB8.
Second.
Tom, with a motion and a second.
Mr. Caparata,
Yes.
Ms. Evans,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly,
Yes.
Ms. Martinez,
Yes.
Ms. Pasculi,
Yes.
Ms. Bose.
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. And now we're going to be going into executive session. The Open Public Meetings Act authorizes the Board of Education to meet in executive session under certain circumstances and requires the board to adopt a resolution at public meeting to go into private session.
I was just listening to Rob.
Oh, okay, sorry. This evening, items that will be discussed, specifically HIB, formal action will not be taken, and exec session is expected to last 15 minutes.
Motion.
Have a motion?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
A second? Second.
Martinez, got it?
All in favor?
Yeah, it works.
Aye. Okay. Thank you. And then, Tom, we'll adjourn.